Okay. I'm just making up my notes. Okay, so I just love what's coming through all of the speakers. So one of the strongest examples of knowing God through any path, knowing the truth, call it whatever, through any path is my own childhood. I went to Catholic schools, and a lot of Hindus went to Catholic schools in India because those were considered to be more progressive because you could learn the English language and all of that. So there was some benefit to going to these schools, and they were run very well. Although in retrospect, sometimes I did tell my parents that I wish you had given me a little more of the Indian and the Hindu culture. But the good thing is that it opened my mind. It broadened our minds to the fact that it did not matter where you went, so as a Hindu, we could walk into anything. For us, it was like God is everywhere. And we were brought up with the saying that Ekam Sat, that means the one truth, Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti, that means the Sat is one. The enlightened or the wise know that there are various ways. They describe it in various ways. So the truth is one, but the wise describe it in different ways. And that is really the truth about this whole discussion that we have, that all the wise people from all religions would not need to speak. They would just smile at each other and know. And I think that's where we are going. I think it's beautiful that we have this platform. Reverend Jackson, I absolutely agree with you that you said, and I echo your sentiments, the word is humbling. Because it's really interesting how you start to, you identify as somebody, and then you begin to realize, and that's how it started with me. I came to this country and realized that nobody knew what a Hindu was. And I felt like I need to let them know. And I started teaching about Hinduism. It really was me. It was my own growth, my own knowing. I had to learn what it was because I grew up without knowing what it is. And as I learned more, I began to realize that everyone around me was no different, that the other religions also were teaching love and truth and everything that I was learning. So it's so important that you start to then become more humble. You start to realize that you are just one of many. Your ego starts to shed. I love the idea about visiting holy places. I run a program in all the schools, as I mentioned earlier, called India in Classrooms. And that's where I take my students from girls' middle school in Palo Alto. They're very open. The parents are very open. I take them to all of the various Indian representations of religion. So I take them to a mosque. I take them to the Hindu temple, the Jain temple. So they get to see, and they also get to see the various different ways that we practice. Some of us cover our head, we remove our slippers and sandals, and so there are different practices. So is this universal truth is really like mathematics. It is where we begin to understand that the methods and the languages are different, but we must understand that to get to this deepest or the highest truth, we need to go through stages. Just as you learn mathematics, you go through beads first, and you go, 1 + 1 makes 2. You need to see it. But when you don't need to, and that's why you need the idol too. But for those of us who have gone through a deeper practice, you don't need anything to hold on to. You live with God. You walk with God. You become one with God, and you find the God within you. So that's really the thing. I love Mr. Nordquist's thing. Everybody is a temple of God, and that's really what it is. So one of the things that I do, I know it's a easy way out, but I listen to Professor L.D. Russell from the Department of Religious Studies. He talks about different religions, and I think that's one way for me to just open up to different religions, and it's exciting to see the similarities. It's very exciting. So I think we're lucky because we live in an age of internet, so we get to listen to people's different speakers, and you can tell there are good speakers from every religion, and it helps to learn to listen. I'd like Brian, if you can, please share the picture that I have quickly. Okay, thank you, Brian. So this is the picture that I show all of my students, that the ocean of knowledge brings waves of understanding to the shoreline of our minds. And upon the waves rides the solid shell of respect, and within it is the precious pearl of peace. So knowledge, awareness brings peace, and ignorance brings chaos. So I really thank you all for this wonderful platform. I love it. All the best.
Thank you, Ms. Mona. Let's give it a round of applause. Yes,